Hello, this is Mark Sabatella from Outside Shore Music. In this video, I want to talk about the three kind of most common, most important musical textures to know about. And this is the idea of how we're going to use, if you have multiple musicians, multiple instruments, multiple voices, how they're going to work together. And there's really kind of three main choices we see. There's what we call monophony, where all the voices, all the instruments are essentially playing the same melody. There's homophony, where one instrument has the main melody and the others are very clearly just playing accompaniment to that melody. And then there's polyphony, where each of the voices kind of has its own unique melody. There might be one melody that we might hear as the most important, but each of the other voices also seems to be very strong melodically. So I've got a simple example here. This is Mary Had a Little Lamb, something I use as an example a lot, and we're just going to hear all three versions of this. So we'll hear a monophonic arrangement of it, where all the voices just have the melody. So everyone, all four stringed instruments just played the melody. Different octaves. The violins had it in this upper octave above, an octave above middle C. The viola had the E just above middle C, and the cello had the E below middle C, but they all have the exact same melody other than octave. The next version is a homophonic version, where the violin 1 is going to have the melody, but the other three strings are just going to kind of play simple accompaniment based on some sort of harmony, some sort of chord. So the melody, the one sitting on top, is the most interesting thing happening there. The others really are just playing a supporting role. And then in polyphony, all of the instruments have maybe not equally important, but a strong melodic idea of their own. Let's hear this little version here. So in that version, I could listen to just the violin 2 part, for instance. Right? And it's interesting as well. And each of the parts has its own interest. And they're all rhythmically distinct. They all just kind of have their own thing that they're doing. That is polyphony. There's homophony, where the melody is the melody and the other voices are really just being accompanying in simpler types of rhythms and so forth. And then there's monophony, where everyone has a melody together, and most music has some sort of mixture of these different approaches, but we'll see that different pieces might emphasize one of these more than others.